TCI is brought to you by TaylorMade Stallion Unbridled Song, producing top songs year after year, including 13 Grade 1 winners. Visit unbridledsong.com.
Welcome back to TCI's On the Clock, where we discuss key issues and races leading up to the Breeders' Cup. Alongside Joel Cunningham and Ed DeRosa, I'm John Siegel. Guys, let's jump right in there. Let's talk about the Eddie Reed Stakes first. You know, we see Acclamation in here, but could Slim Shady step up and defeat this horse?
He could. I don't think he will. I think Acclamation is the defending champion older male, is still the boss of this group. Lots of attention on Game On Dude, Mucho Macho Man, and the older males. But Acclamation came back strong in the Whittingham, and I don't see any reason why he won't be stronger in the Eddie Reed.
Yeah, I agree. He'll get a 7th win in a row here. It's not much of a contest. Really, Slim Shady, I think, is the only horse that has the class to, be able to run by him late. But quite honestly, in a short group like this with Hogs Hollow drawn on the rail, maybe showing speed, Acclamation has great tactical speed, so he controls his own race. Slim Shady, as we saw in the United Nations, needs a pace. He didn't get it. Coming back in 2 weeks, he won't get it this time.
All right, so you guys agree Acclamation gets it done in the Eddie Reed.
Yep.
Let's see if you guys agree at Saratoga. We got the CCA Oaks. We have Zo Impressive and Disposable Pleasure rematch in here. Do you think it comes down to one of those two fillies? JC, you first.
I really don't. Zo Impressive's a filly that I questioned back around 2 turns. You look at her race at Gulfstream Park and look at that pedigree. I wonder if she's not better around 1 turn, those long sprints or maybe middle distance type fillies. So I think she'll be an overbet favorite in here. And in lingerie, question marks there. We know she likes a distance, but lightly raced. Questing Yara will show speed in here, and I think it sets it up for Disposable Pleasure, saving ground on the inside.
Ed, do you agree with his assessment there?
I think Disposable Pleasure is among the likely winners, but I actually like a long shot in here. I like Yara. I'm really anxious. Yeah, I'm really anxious to see how they bet this race, because I think it's an evenly matched group, and I think of all the potential starters, Yara is the one who's going to be most overlooked. So when they're this competitive, I have to go with the bomb. It worked out at Gulfstream when she was 45-1 or 50-1. I think it'll work out here.
I think Speed held that day at Gulfstream, but I'm interested to know how you're going to bet the race, because you're going to get whatever price you want on her for a short field.
Win, place, and show. Then just
blinkers on, bullet work. I think Questing has to go from the rail. Yara and Questing. Are you just assuming Speed's going to hold for her and she's going to put Questing away?
Well, I shouldn't say assume, but at the price, I'm thinking that it's worth taking that shot.
You're going to get the price.
Yeah.
You'll get the price.
All right, so you guys agreed on Acclamation, disagree in the CCA Oaks.
Let me make one note about Disposable Pleasure and why I like her. Her last race, she's returning to good form. We talked to John Greathouse, John, if you can recall, around the Kentucky Derby time. This filly got sick in the spring, caused her to miss some major races. She didn't run well in the Fairgrounds Oaks. She was just getting right back in the Black-Eyed Susan. She had some problems. But if you look at her last race, she is in great form now and loves a mile and 1/8. I think that's why she gets it done.
All right,
let's move now to the winning you're in race on the card. It's the Delaware Handicap. Can anybody beat the champion here? Ed, you first.
Oh, absolutely. Awesome Maria already has beat the champion here, so I don't think there's any reason to think she couldn't again. The 1.25 miles certainly helps Royal Delta, Empire Maker. We've all heard about how much she loves the distance, and people are already talking about her as a Breeders' Cup Classic horse against males, but I think she's going to have a tough time getting by Awesome Maria in this one.
Hey, if this were a 1 1/8 miles, I'd agree with you. Awesome Maria maybe could get away from her, but not at a 1.25 miles. I think she's a specialist there. I think she beats a lot of boys at a 1.25 miles, quite frankly. She just, in such great form, comes in with a bullet. I don't think she'll bounce. The question will be, is she saves ground from the rail? Will a horse like Cash for Clunkers that's getting 10 pounds from her, could a horse like that maybe not get respect on the front end and get away from her? I think that's her only danger in here.
All right, Ed, I noticed on the Twin Spires blog this week, you put up a list. It's your most likely winners of a Breeders' Cup race. Redeemed you have at number 1. Tell me why.
Well, I started with some of the divisions that aren't quite as popular, and the Marathon certainly came to mind first. And it's a race that a favorite hasn't won yet, so saying that Redeemed, who would be the favorite if the race were tomorrow, is the most likely winner is kind of dodgy. But I don't think we've had a horse really point for the Marathon since its inception, and this is a horse they're not going to go to the Classic with. They're not going to get cute. If he's in the Breeders' Cup, it's going to be in the Marathon. He's run 3 straight triple-digit BRIS ratings. That's definitely good enough to get it done. We know he can handle the distance. He's the most likely winner.
I agree he's the best marathon candidate in North America that we've had probably since the inception of the race. There's a horse that's been pretty classy at a 1.8 miles against good Grade 1 horses, but I still question, again, here's a horse that wears front wraps, lugging in his last race, barely holds off an 11-1 shot. Now, he may have bounced off of his big race on Belmont Day, but Ed, in a race that long shots predominantly win, it's hard for me to say 3.5 months out that this colt, A, is going to get into the starting gate, B is going to, go a mile and 3/4. He's never raced at Santa Anita and take on all comers in there. I just think the race is such a crapshoot. It's hard for me to say Redeem would be my horse right now. You do have one in your top 5 that I like, though.
Yeah, well, tell us who it is. I mean, who is your horse?
It's St. Nicholas Abbey. I think you have him rated too low. I mean, he's a defending champ. Check. He likes left-hand racing. Those left-hand turns. He's had success even in Europe. Here in North America, Lasix. I mean, he's made it work for himself. And I know you like a stablemate, Camelot, a little bit, but if Camelot's the real deal and they win the ARC with Camelot, you won't see him, I don't think, over here in the Breeders' Cup. I know they're going to bring St. Nicholas Abbey as your returning winner. So to me, especially with North American turf horses not being so good, and the fact that turf horses maybe have more likelihood to stay sound, you better stay sound and redeemed. I mean, here's a horse with front wraps on. I think St. Nicholas Abbey's the most likely winner.
For me, in addition to Camelot, the reasons I didn't have St. Nicholas Abbey higher are Sea Moon, who did come over last year. He looked spectacular at Ascot.
And got beat last year, too.
That's true, yeah. And Acclamation, who will be on his home turf if they decide to go to that race instead of the Classic. So
I do agree Acclamation has a tactical advantage over a course that speed can certainly carry on, but still from a class standpoint, I think St. Nicholas Abbey's the horse.
All right, guys, we got one more question. We got to tackle the topics right now. 3-year-old championship. That's what I want to talk about. I'll Have Another is done. We have Union Rags out for the season. Bodemeister misses the Haskell.
Went the day well.
Are there any 3-year-olds left that could upset I'll Have Another for 3-year-old honors?
There are. It's just, any of them could. To me, it's a matter of winning the right races, and that would mean 3 Grade 1 wins and including the Classic. You can't just win the Jockey Club Gold Cup or whatever they're calling the Goodwood now. It has to end with the Breeders' Cup Classic, and if a horse were to do that, coupled with the Haskell, Travers, Jockey Club Gold Cup, some mix of that, it could happen. To me, the only 2 I would say actually could do that are HANSEN and Painter. Anyone else would be a complete shock at this point. But it makes it fun. I mean, it'd be good to see a horse try to chase I'll Have Another down.
So, JC, he mentioned Painter. Painter lost to I'll Have Another in the Santa Anita Derby. Is he still qualified if he wins out?
I think somebody can do it, and I think Painter's really the only one that I see that can do it. Here's a horse that when he lost to I'll Have Another, it was in his second lifetime start. He fell on his face coming out of the gate. I'll Have Another was in great form, so I'm not going to hold that against Painter. First time around 2 turns in the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, you kidding me? That was a tough task, and the horse has progressively gotten better. He's light the race. If he wins the Haskell, which he might be the favorite in, the Travers runs well in, say, the Jockey Club Gold Cup and beats older horses like Game On Dude in the Breeders' Cup Classic, that recency on voters' minds, I think he can win it. HANSEN, horse has lost the Bluegrass. It's his best win this year. What is it? The Gotham in Grade 3. I kind of wonder if HANSEN, a horse that Iowa Derby, yeah, there you go, Iowa Derby, exactly. But he didn't show up on Derby Day when I'll Have Another did. So I think that goes against him right now. I'll Have Another has a big lead on HANSEN. I don't think I'll Have Another has a big lead on Painter if he turns out to be a good horse.
All right, well, thank you guys. Great insight. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week. We'll see if Royal Delta gets it done in the Delaware Handicap.